the trigonometry that we've done up until now has been for what kind of triangles? Right angle triangle. And so SOHCAHTOA is only for right angle triangles. Right? Now, what I'm going to talk about now is for any triangle. Now, that's where some people start to get confused and they start forgetting that SOHCAHTOA is only for right angles, and they forget about SOHCAHTOA altogether for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, these are for any kind of triangle. So if you see something that doesn't have a right angle in it, or it doesn't show that it's a definite right angle, you must use these rules rather than the others. Yeah. You can, but it's just waste of time. But if you're like, yeah, this takes longer. Pardon? All right, so then we use it. Now, when we're labelling them, now I'm saying here it's not necessary to label these triangles every time. Okay, but this is how the letters are generated for the formula. So if I had labelled this length A, then this length opposite it would be labelled maybe length A. If this was angle B, then the length opposite that would be length B. And if this is angle C, then this would be length C. Okay, you get the idea?
Should we write down?
Yes.
So angle is just opposite.
So the angle has a capital letter, and the side length has a lowercase letter, and they're opposite each other.
The angle is capital. How do you know which one is equal?
And that's the thing, it doesn't matter. Okay? What I'm going to talk about is how they're related to each other in the formula. So that's the most important thing. And you'll understand what I mean. Okay? So the labels, the angles and the lengths are labelled opposite each other. Now, the sine rule. So here's our triangle. The sine rule says that A over sine A is equal to B over sine B, which is equal to C over sine C. So any length divided by the sine of the angle opposite it is equal to any other length divided by the sine of the opposite angle to that. So you get given it, so fear not, you don't need to learn that. So A over sine A is equal to B over sine B, which is equal to C over sine C. So, you're given a formula, so you don't need to learn it, you need to know how to use it. Now, the sine rule. Your questions when we're deciding this, because we're going to learn about two rules, the sine and the cosine rule. Okay? There's no tan rule. The sine and the cosine rule. Some people are like, well, I don't know which one to use. The sine rule, the questions involve two sides and two angles. So they involve two sides and two angles. No. So the question involves two sides, two angles. I'm going to specify that. I'm going to clarify that now. So it means that of those four items, you're going to be asked to find one of them. Okay? So either you're going to be asked to find a side length, and you're given one side length and two angles, or you're going to be asked to find an angle, and you'll be given two side lengths and one other angle. Okay? So your question involves two of each. Now, obviously we've got two equal signs here, and we know in maths we only ever have one equal sign. So you're only going to be comparing two of these things. Okay, so it might be these two sides, or it might be these two sides, or it might be these two.
How do you know which one?
But it doesn't matter which ones you're just seeing your question. Okay? So, here we go. Find the missing side length x. We know that any length divided by the sine of the angle opposite it is equal to any other length divided by the sine of the angle opposite that. Okay? If I'm trying to find x, you're just going to say that x divided by what?
Sine 32.
Sine 32, perfect, is equal to what? 18 over sine 108. Now, some of you are maybe looking and go, what the heck? Where did they get those numbers from? Literally, this length divided by the sine of this angle has to be equal to this length divided by the sine of this angle. Okay? So that's where, Emma, it doesn't matter which one's A, B, and C, because it's just the relationship between any two pairs. Yeah? Because what they're saying is it doesn't matter which pairs you're comparing. You can compare it. Yes?
Always sine.
Yes, this is the sine.
There's always an length over angle.
No. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, but they give it to you as length over angle. Now, if you're trying to find a length, you're going to write the length from the top. Now, we're going to rearrange this. We know normal rearranging rules mean that if I want x on its own, I have to undo this divided by sine 32, which means that we're going to multiply by sine 32. We have to multiply both sides. So this now becomes that. I'm waiting.
Can we just put in brackets sine 32?
If you wish. What do you mean in brackets?
Like the sine 32 to symbolize multiplying.
Sure.
Or it's fine if we do it.
Fine, sure. Alexis, you didn't seem sure about that. Sure?
Oh, wait, no, you didn't have it.
Hang on.
So, I think, okay, so wait, can we put, so the 18 over sine 108 could be in brackets next to sine 32.
Sure.
Okay, there we go, thank you. Okay. Or the sine 32 could be in brackets, so, or.
Totally. Well, they can both be in brackets. We can bracket everything. Let's just put brackets around everything.
And then you don't
Brackets make it so much more simple.
Do you need the time?
You know what's together.
Your calculator should know you're multiplying it, but it may say there's an error. It may
Okay,
ask.
and then how do we know it was x over sine 32?
So we're trying to find this length, sweetheart, and we know that the rule tells us that if you're trying to find this length, you're going to divide it by the sine of the angle opposite it. Yeah? Is everyone good? Did anyone chuck this in their calc and tell me what the answer is?
10.03.
10.03. So I'm just going to put 10.0 to 360, and it's no
Can
good.
you do 18 over sine 108 and then times sine 32?
Yes? What do you want? What else do you want to do?
No, but like, never mind. Wait, can we all take a moment to try that in our calculator?
You can totally do that. Take a moment. Right, so now we have to find side y. Anybody would like to suggest what we're going to write? Well,
Okay, so 14 over sin 26 is equal.
now, totally that's correct. However, if you're trying to find something, I would suggest I would always try and start my question off with what I'm trying to find.
I was at 100% square root.
So I would normally start with y over. So what would we say? Y over
Sin 46.
sine 46? Does everyone agree with that?
No.
Okay, that was a bit hard. That was a bit harsh. Maybe I shouldn't have asked it. Yeah. Why might some people have not?
Because you have to find the other angle so that you have the opposite of the y.
Nice, good. So girls, and especially Nara, do we remember that the side length it's always connected to the angle opposite it? But
Yeah,
that's
there
not
wasn't
labeled.
anything there, so I just said 46.
Well, you know, it's triangle is 180 degrees.
So we know that
Oh, it's 180 degrees.
It's 108.
Yep.
we know that this Angle here must be whatever's left from 180. So we're going to do 180. All right.
Right, calm down. When
Again.
you're watching the video, you'll be like, where did they get that?
Thank you so much, Amy.
Actually, that is
No,
very
it
true.
is very true. You don't ask me to write everything down, even if we try and skip a step. So, for these ones, you have to be careful that that you know all the relevant information. Go, seriously now. So we need to know the angles opposite the lengths we're trying to find. So, now we've established that's 108. Lara, let's go back to you.
So that would be sine 108 equals 14 over sine.
Lovely. Okay, we're all happy with that?
Perfectly open.
No, not done yet.
So right now we're always just doing the length of the ankle.
Yes.
Is that just, can I always just say that?
Well, there's a reason because these are trying to find lengths. All these questions are trying to find
So when
lengths.
you're trying to find a length, it's nice.
Yes.
So there's a hot and a low in
No. Remember, so much how it is.
90 plus 90.
There's a cosine rule. Why do you not listen? There is a cosine rule, but I did say there's no tangent rule. And some people went, yay! That's a good day.
If we're trying to find an angle,
Darling, we haven't got to those examples yet. Can you just relate? Please. Alright, so rearranging this bad boy, we've got 14 over sine 26 multiplied by sine 108. You can put brackets wherever you like to put brackets. And once that's in your calc, we have an answer of 30.4. Thank you. And remember, these are all lengths, so we should put our unit in there also. Yes, because that's 14 centimetres. Yes? Sometimes what tends to happen is if you haven't got units in a particular question, that's the one they want it on. And you don't always know which one that is, which is a bit of a pain. So if they haven't written a unit in the question, like sometimes they have it on the answer line, but if they haven't written one in, try and make sure you've got the unit. So normally 3 unless they state otherwise.
so that's for you.
That's 1, 2, 3 digits, yeah. Right, Emma. Now we're finding angles using the
So
sine.
it's angle over length.
Yes. So you do not get given this version. Alexis. I'm not laughing.
This is just the opposite of the other.
You don't get given this version, but you will see that it's just the inverse of it. Okay? So reciprocal, that's the word. So it's just everything upside down. So it's not hard to remember. Okay? So where the lengths used to be all on top, now your sines are all on top. Okay? But notice the sines are all on top and the lengths are all on the bottom, or the other way around. You don't have to mix and match. Okay? So, because in these questions we're trying to find an angle, at some point you're going to end up with a statement that says sine theta equals something. Yes.
So we're trying to find the length.
No, what you're trying to find is on the top.
Okay.
Okay? So, because you're trying to find an angle, at some point you're going to be using the inverse sine function. Okay? So, if you haven't ever seen this before, you may have been taught to just literally go the way that you're used to, but I always feel that if you're trying to find something, it's better to start off our question with it. So if I'm trying to find this angle here, I would start off with sine theta. Okay, so that's my start of my question, that's what I'm missing. I would divide that sine theta by what? 8.7, because that's the length opposite it. And that's going to be equal to sine 110, lovely, divided by 11. Okay? So I've got my sines level and my lengths are this time on the bottom. as we had before, we need to rearrange this. So we've got sine theta is sine 110 over 11 multiplied by 8.7. And to find theta, we're going to inverse sine. And this says a and s, because I can't bother to rewrite that whole thing again. Remember, all your calculators have the most recent answer in there, so you can use the answer button.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Okay, so you can work out what sine 110 divided by 11 multiplied by 8.7 is, and then you can just find the negative one of the answer.
If you wanted to do that all in one step without having to do that extra, how would you write it? Like,
You would have to use brackets.
yeah. But like, where? I'm confused. So it would be sine
So
minus.
you can keep all of this in a bracket. You can put this as a fraction if you wish.
Okay.
It depends if you're using a little calculator or a big one.
And whatever answer we get, how do we put that into the answer slot we put? Like,
You just press A and S.
no, I know, but like, do we have that?
Press A and S.
Okay, wait. So I got this. So
And you press Shift, Sign, A and S. Okay?
I figured the answer.
Oh wait, Cassidy knows the answer. Ask Cassidy.
Oh, I got it.
Cassidy, ask Cassidy.
Okay. 48.
48 points.
Woo.
0. Awesome. Thank you very much. So if people wish to practice putting them in their calcs, I'm happy to come around and help, but I'd rather not have a whole class pause while we do that. Okay? I was told to get
You're wrong.
Sure. Well, what we'd be looking for is probably this step or this step. Okay, so as long as you've got either, these will probably only worth 2 marks. So as long as you've shown one of these two and your answer, you'd be good to go. So because this is the working step we're talking for, this is not really a working step that we do marking. It would be, do you get the right answer or not? And the only reason that we would have 2 is just in case you put it in your calculator incorrectly and then that's something we don't mark. Okay. Right, yes? Is there another one on this page?
Yeah, there's an example 4 and example 5.
Yeah, but not on that page though. But thanks for your enthusiasm. Alright, okay, so again we're trying to find angles theta. So I would start off with sine theta over what?
So you have to use the Pythagoras here.
Well, now, interesting concept. However, remember Pythagoras only relates to what kind of triangle? So
That's inconvenient.
unfortunately, we cannot use Pythagoras to do it. So, I believe everyone is commenting and trying to make noises because we don't know what this side length is and we need to know it. Yes? But let's look at the information we do have. So I do know this length and the angle opposite that, and I know this length. Now what that means is that I can actually find this angle here, can't I?
Yes.
Yes? Because I know that I've got this pair and I've got this length, so I can find or calculate this angle, and then I will have 2 of my angles out of the 3, so I can work out this one just by doing 180 minus the sum of these 2. So it's a little bit like one of those early on questions, a little bit like this one here, but backwards, in that I am missing a length that I need, so I'm going to find a different angle and then find the one I actually want. So actually this is not going to be used at all. Okay? But I wanted to write it as we normally would, so you're in the habit of doing that. So now I'm going to change, call this something else. You can label this whatever you want, by the way. So I'm going to now say that sine of alpha over 125. Which is because I chose, that's what I chose. You can call it whatever you like.
Wait, what's the
Until
Alpha! Good.
The fact one of my most enjoyable moments is when other people in the class get annoyed with people asking questions, not just on.
Well, no, like, I knew that it was the alpha, but I wasn't sure, like, if it meant something specifically.
Yes, again, I can explain.
Like, it's
You're just prolonging the situation.
Stop talking.
Right, so that's going to be equal to sine 32 over 150. So as I said, sines on the top, lengths on the bottom. Rearranging this.
So what I'm trying to find is right now.
Correct. Or whatever you call it. This is one extra step. The 180 minus it. You don't have to double everything.
Well, you have to do that and have to find right now.
But we have to do this anyway. So this is the only extra step.
Well, we have to find that.
Yeah. Because we don't know the length opposite the angle we're trying to find. We always have because once we both have this one, we know that the angles in the triangle has 180. Shh. And do we have an answer for this? Now, I've actually left that one to 4 significant figures or 1 decimal place. Just check what your answer, what your questions are. Okay? Right, okay, so find this missing angle. Any suggestions what we would write? Sine theta, let's start with sine theta over 320 equals sine 115 over 0. Units. Okay, why did we start pausing at 0.82?
You're nice.
Yep, they are in different units. So it doesn't matter which unit you choose, but they need to be consistent. I would suggest probably don't really like working with decimals that much. So I'm going to change this bad boy to 820. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I didn't know that, it is something that you need to know, your conversion of units. Okay, so if you don't know it, you really, really need to learn that. So that would be 820. So sine theta would be that. And theta is the inverse side of that. Okay? This stuff here.
Why is it only that?
Okay, so this stuff here is it may never come up, and the working of it and the reasoning of it is not super important. The main thing to know is if you are ever asked, or if it's indicated that there could be more than one solution to something, it would only be when you were using the sine rule. Okay? So the sine rule in some situations have 2 different answers or 2 options for your question. And the situation would be was if you knew one of the lengths, if you knew one of the angles, and if you knew another length not attached to that angle. Okay? So, and Aria, would you come help me? Okay, this is my I'm going to change the order of this. This is the bottom of my triangle, okay? I know that this angle here is fixed, okay? R is going to be the other length that I know. So I don't know how long this line, no, actually you can be in my fixed angle.
Oh, I see it.
So this is my base length. It has to be this long. This is a fixed angle. So R has to be this angle here, but I don't know how long her arm is, okay? So I know that this length has to be this long. So it can either hit that there, or it can hit it down here. Do you see that? So it can either hit it there. I haven't changed the length of this length, or it can hit down here. But if I hit it in different places, it means that the angle here is different. Yes? Do you see there's two different options?
What do you mean it can only hit?
Because I don't know how long this is. I know this angle is fixed, so that has to be there. And I know this length is fixed. So it can either be that angle or that angle, which is less than it. No, because it's only going to hit it at a certain point. Yes?
Whoa.
Sorry. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Does it matter? It's not super. And so I'm not going to go through this because I don't want to confuse people, especially in this situation. But essentially here, so if I know this length is fixed and this angle is fixed, I know this length is fixed, but this one isn't. Okay? So this could either be here or it could be over here. Okay? Which means that this angle up here can be this much or this much. Okay? This angle here can be this much or this much. Okay? So they are going to change even though these lengths do not.
How do you know which angle How do you know which angle is fixed and which angle is fixed?
Because they tell you it's fixed.
They'll say legal like angle ABC is
Essentially, if a question, as I say, if a question ever indicates that there could be more than one option, all you're going to do is do what you do normally, that we've just been doing, and then whatever answer you have, you subtract it from 180. That's all you have to do. Okay? So, here's our diagram. We've got, they've asked to find this angle here. So we would say sine C over 8 is equal to sine 50 over 7.
Is this little C or big C?
This is big C, it's an angle. So we would have sine C is sine 50 over 7 multiplied by 8. So you'll notice this is nothing different to what we've just been doing. Okay, angle over side length, angle over sine length. Rearrange it, find the angle, and we get 61.1. Or C could be 180, subtract that. Okay, that's all you have to do. So if that indicates somehow that there could be a second option, you're just going to subtract whatever you get from 180. Now, should you get an exam and you forget that, you'd only lose 1 mark for not remembering that. So fear not, okay, but it's always going to be from 180. Yes.
Would you say C, and then you have to say
You could
or?
Yes, you can perhaps do C1, C2. Normally the wording of the question will say which possible solutions are there, or find the values of the angle. So it would normally indicate that there's more than one.
what is that in time?
Yes, and it works with sine. There is a diagram I can show you, but to be honest, I don't want to go too much into this because it doesn't often come up. I would kind of, I'll happily show you separately, but I would rather that you remember 180.
I want to know how much.
That's probably not great math teaching, but I just don't want to mess with people's heads with new diagrams. And I don't know what the top is.
I didn't need anything until like
Round this one and subtract, they're doing it really 0.1, so it's not one decimal place anyway, so you can leave it like that. Right, okay, so cosine rule. Woo! Now, here's the tricky thing. In GCSE, you only get one version of it. Okay? So you know how the sine rule, there was one that was the funny lengths, where it was the length on the top, and then finding the angles, it was super easy. It was to split them upside down. Cosine rule is a bit more complicated. Okay? So my suggestion is that you do learn the angle one. Okay? Now that doesn't mean you have to learn it straight away. And you may be, if you're awesome at rearranging formulae, you don't have to learn it. It's just that sometimes people make little errors when they're rearranging it, and so it can go wrong. So you're given this. A squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a.
Oh my.
Okay, you get given that. So we're back to recording. So you are given it just like this. So, Tanya, it's really important you listen. So a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus all of this stuff. Now, we're just establishing. These things are all together, which means what's happening to them? They're being multiplied. So if you wanted to, you could stick things in your calculator with brackets around these things. Obviously the cos A goes all together, okay? But this is minus 2 multiplied by B multiplied by C multiplied by cos A. Now, I did say, I'll just answer the question in a second, okay? I did say it's not important what's A, B, and C. And in any question, you don't have to relabel A, B, and C. And my statement, I'm sticking to it, okay? What is important though is if you're trying to find the cosine rule, if you're trying to find this length, any length A, you need to know the other two lengths and which angle. If you're trying to find length A, which angle is involved in this rule? Which angle? It's not true. A, angle A, yes? And where is A, angle A situated?
At N.
On the side.
Before the
It's an angle.
Well, okay, if I'm trying to find length A, how would I know which one is angle A?
It's complicated.
No, okay, so remember, they're not labeled on a diagram for you with A, B, and C.
Oh, it's the opposite.
Okay,
Angle
so
opposite from length.
if I need to know this length, okay, if I'm trying to calculate this length, I need to know the angle that's opposite it. Okay, does that make sense? So if I had a triangle like this, and I knew that, and I was trying to find this length, I know this one's 7, this one's 11, and I know this one's 24, I cannot use the cosine rule. Okay? Because I do not know the length opposite it. I mean the angle opposite the length I'm trying to find. Do you understand? Hannah, could you pay attention please? So this angle here has to be involved in your question. You need to know the angle opposite the length you're trying to find. Everyone's clear on that? Hang on. Everyone shout at once.
You knew that, why don't you just use the same?
Because you may not have that angle. What? You need to use the sine rule to find the length you're trying to find. Because we only know one angle there. Remember, the sine rule has to be two angles and two sides.
So what would you use?
I'm going to tell you.
Didn't we have an example like this back here and then we just said sine x?
No, because we were given two of the angles.
Wait, no, we were only given one.
Oh, we were given all three. We were given more information.
That was confusing.
So this is
Sine
the
roll to find the top angle and then do the 180.
You totally could, yes. Okay?
But we can't use the cos rule for this because we don't have enough angle.
Yes.
And because the angle is not there, that's opposite to the angle.
Yes. So you could use the sine rule.
Okay, so you just don't use it. Okay.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, in order to use this, we need to know the angle opposite the one we're trying to find. Yes? Okay?
Yeah, all of them?
For the cosine rule.
Yeah, but of each, like, so you need to know all of them.
There'll only be one missing.
One angle or one line?
One leg.
Okay.
So, how we said that the sine rule involved two sides, two angles, the cosine involves
Everything.
three sides, one angle. Okay, so the cosine rule involves three sides, one angle.
So still 4 parts.
Still 4 parts, and you're still trying to find, Samantha, one of those 4 parts. Okay.
I can't read
I still can't spell.
Involves 3 sides, 1 angle. Right, so if I'm trying to find length x,
Wait,
check that I've got the angle opposite it.
We do.
No, 2 and 2. And now it's 3 sides, 1 angle.
that's what we need to find.
One of those 4.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't make my life hard. So we've got x squared is equal to, now, does it matter which one's B and which one's C?
No.
No, because we're squaring them and we're adding them and then multiplying them by each other, and the order that we multiply is not important. So it doesn't matter which the lengths are. So we've got x squared equals 11.2 squared plus 13.8 squared, subtract 2, 11, 13.8, cos 132.
So,
If you wish to label, you can, but I think it's a wasted step. It's totally up to you.
so you always just do add. Okay.
Okay, so you'll notice that these numbers repeat here. And then it's just cos 132. Now x is going to be the square root of that answer. And again, later, similar situation is they'll be looking for this first step. So it doesn't really matter what you write here, and they would actually get your answer. Okay, so you'd be chucking all that in your... right, so we get down to 22.9. Next one. Okay, so we're going to double check. Do we have the angle opposite the length we're trying to find? Yes, so we can. So I'm going to... Okay, now, this is the one that you probably need to learn, or you need to just get good at rearranging. So if I'm trying to find cos of A, it's b squared plus c squared subtract a squared over 2bc. Okay, I'm going to pause just so you can write it, and then we can answer the formula. Okay, so here's my tip for remembering this. So we can see we've got all our lengths squared, there's some added, some subtracted, Tanya. If I'm trying to find this angle, which length gets subtracted? The one opposite it, yes? So it's probably a good idea to remember that that's the connection. The B and the C, again, it doesn't matter which one's which, because here they're square and added, and then multiply by each other down here. Okay, so you don't need to panic which one's which. You just need to recognize that if you're trying to find this angle, then the length opposite that angle is the one that gets subtracted here. And that's the only mistake that some people tend to make. Depending on whether you're finding angle A, B, or C, you can learn lots of different rearrangements if you wish. There really is no need to though. Okay. As with before, the sine rule for trying to find angles, you're going to have to inverse cos this time. Okay, so I've got 3 side lengths we've been given. If I'm trying to find this angle, which side length am I going to be subtracting? Good. Okay, let me just double check. 3. Okay, this is a legit one. Alright, so we would cos theta is equal to 116 squared plus 125 squared subtract 226 squared over 2, 116, 125. And that's cos to the minus 1 of that answer.
That is such a long video.
So, depending on rounding, there's our 2 different options. Alright, I'm going to stop. Alright, so there we get 104.7 if it's 1 dp or 105 if it's 3 SF. Okay, so area of